So Google has finally announced that they will be collaborating with Samsung on their latest Google Pixel 6. So I would imagine that Google will be using Samsung's uh, AMOLED display, with the hole punch display in the middle with the Infinity O. And in regards to the design, that Samsung and Google will try to make the best camera possible because Google Pixel, as they advertise, even though they used to only had one camera on their Google Pixel 3, but its camera is by far superior than most of the other peers that's in the same price entry point. So Google Pixel 6 will be manufactured by Foxconn and powered by Samsung. And this is basically a render of what the phone might look like. It looks like there's a huge camera bump, and also they have the three different cameras set up with the flash in the back. So one of the camera, I would imagine it will be ultra wide, maybe a telephoto, and maybe a portrait lens. So we'll see what Samsung and Google has to offer on that. So the powerhouse for this Pixel 6, it will be a Samsung chipset. So it will not be a Snapdragon 888 flagship. So it will be in between the top tier, a Snapdragon 88, and maybe between a last gen 865. But regardless, it will still be a relatively new chipset. And from my personal experience, having using the Samsung S21, the Snapdragon 888 doesn't feel as snappy in my user experience because of all the interface and skin that Samsung puts on their phone, it makes it actually slower. From the time that I've been using, like, say, a Humidigi phone, I felt like when I was using my Humidigi F2 phone, the phone it was actually faster than the Samsung S21 just because there isn't that many bloatware and things that's running in the background. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Google Pixel 6 display will be made by Samsung. I would expect, a pretty high refresh rate, maybe adaptive refresh rate similar to what we see at the Samsung S21. With adaptive up to 120 hertz. And if you're not using it, it downgrades the hertz level to save on battery, which I probably expect from Google, just because Google devices are known to have really good battery life despite a small battery size. So with software optimization that they use, I'm sure that they will have that capability and feature and without sacrificing any quality of the screen. So as I mentioned, Google Pixel will have a total different camera setup in the back for the Google Pixel 6. They say it's going to be a 50 megapixel sensor, but we don't know whether it's going to be made by Sony, Samsung, or some other third-party hardware company. But regardless, we know that Google Pixel can provide its user with amazing photo quality through its software enhancement. So regardless of what type of sensor it is, I'm sure the quality of the pictures from the Pixel 6 will be really good. So these are the breakdown between the Google Pixel 6 and also the Pixel 6 Pro slash XL. They both have the 50 megapixel main camera sensor with a 12 megapixels ultra wide camera, and also on the 6 you get the 8 megapixel front camera, and then for the 6 Pro, you get the 12 megapixel front camera. So the only difference between the 6 Pro and the 6 is that the 6 Pro has an addition of the telephoto camera. So um, this might be a huge advantage for someone who always like to take far distance picture. But I think ultra wide camera in 2021 is almost a must have to 2022 out in the future year, just because ultra wide camera allows you to take more, uh, coverage area in your shots. So the price on the Google Pixel 6 will be around $699, and also for the Pro, I would expect it to be priced close to the 1,000 range or maybe 800, depending on when it is released and also whether they can get a hold of the chipsets, because from what I've been reading, that there has been a shortage of smart chipsets, smart mobile chipsets. So with this doesn't cause a price increase for Google, then hopefully they can lower the price and make this phone more affordable. As you can see from the trend from previous years, smartphone companies have tried to increase the price sticker year over year, despite that there isn't really much improvement to the phones. For example, if you take iPhone for an example, they can charge up to $1,000 for the original, the iPhone 10 that they had. So it will be very interesting to see, when they'll release this as well. They say it will be around October to early November. So it will be very exciting to see this collaboration between Samsung and Google. If you guys have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.